Hey guys. Alright, this is a continuation of the previous video, which is how to deal with blackmail and threats and like trafficking, which I'm talking about like any kind. And dealing with oppressors, people that are, or the people that plan out your whole life for you. Okay, now you need to go to college, you must do this. If you forfeit it, you lose all this and all this stuff. Is bullshit. Okay? That's people that are, like if you're in a Cabbage Patch situation where, it's not your home, your actual family, but they're trying to make it seem like that. If you have, somewhere to go, because it's in scripture even, that God is about putting families back together, but he's only going to be putting back families that are, how can I put this? In alignment, that they're not going to be wicked or harming each other. You know what I mean? Like, say, other family members that, like in my case, I'm going to have to speak about my case because it's the only thing I can, fall back on to tell you about it, right? Because, I grew up no friends. If I had friends, they were just, they were on the wrong side, let's put it that way. They had been compromised by someone that was dark in the family, usually a number of them altogether. They come as a gang because that's how weak they are. It's a point of realizing that they are actually weak. All right? And as long as you're, if you're here in America, as long as you're 18, you're an adult. You're in control of your life, as long as you're, over that age, under that age, you're going to have to, look into things. But, not everyone has to go, straight up homeless into the woods. Some people have somewhere to go. Maybe someone else already did that. A lot of times people aren't seeing that it's their move that they make that changes things because then you're in alignment, I'd hate to be someone that was, how can I put this? Afraid to make a move, and that one afraid to make that move, it's like literally the linchpin, right? For, someone else, perhaps. That you were hanging up, your other members of your family that you wouldn't want to do that to, right? You've got to see, where you're at, and then pray. Pray and ask, the divine creator. You can do it in quiet and peace with stuff shut off, and you can just tiniest whisper. If you speak something loud, you can do it in a whisper. And pray and ask, how do I do this, or something like that. If you're somewhere where they have like a transportation system, they've got a transportation system here, like, an all-day pass or something like that, or a week pass or something. If you don't have, transportation, maybe someone that can, give you a ride or something like that, or whatever it is. You have to make the move, or it's, it's just going to get worse, and it's going to be harder to, how can I say, connect, some people, they're just a phone call away. Some of these people, I'm getting some people need to just make a phone call. Not texting, but phone call, with the voice. And, some people, maybe they need to go somewhere or something like that. But anyway, you have to, wherever you're having a problem, you're going to have to pray, but you're going to have to shut off all the, electronics. It's hard to hear and know stuff with all that stuff going on. The only music I would suggest, or sound I would suggest, would be the frequency music, and it doesn't need to be loud. You keep it, kind of lower. If you're having trouble with your thoughts, that would be your, your third eye and your crown. Throat chakra is the communication. Your root chakra is your foundation, So, and then you do remove negative energy and play like the music for positive energy. It works. It just does. And, kind of plan out what you're going to do. I mean, some people, maybe they just need to, like, pick up what they have, you know what I mean? Their clothes and I don't know if they have some devices or whatever. And, what's important. And take it and go, you know what I mean? Like, go to a hotel or something like that if you're able to. Like, hotels, they've got, the bedding and the beds and all that kind of stuff, right? And, and they usually have room, right? Or who knows, you go stay with a good family member that is not abusive. Do you know what I'm saying? Instead of listening to people that are feeding you really mind poisoning by gaslighting and saying lies that aren't true. I have no idea what these people have said about me. There's no telling, but it's bullshit. It doesn't really matter what they say because it's not true. They cook up all kinds of things because it's their point to keep people away from each other. That, it's like, what sign could be bigger? If someone's doing that, then that should tell you where to go. Obviously not to someone like the people I've been describing that are dark, like, Uncle Creepy's dark. I wouldn't go there. You know what I'm saying? Or someone that is like that, or like, the other characters I've mentioned that are dark. You have to look at the patterns. What are they like? Because it's usually that they have been, MK Ultra'd, and, they like to wear other people's energy. And they have certain ways that they do it without the person even being involved or knowing it. But that's meant to keep you, like where you're at. So, it's like, I feel like this is, people that already know better. Like, they know exactly what they need to do, and they need to stop avoiding it. It's like, I don't know, I'm getting like a phone call, maybe a few people, numerous people, who knows? But something about they need to make a phone call with their voice and stop. I don't know, it's like breaking something by doing that. Picking up the phone and calling. And like some people, maybe they're close enough, they need to go there, something like that. But it's like something that these people need to do, yet they haven't done it yet. You know what I'm saying? It's time to get on the move. There's no sitting around waiting, sitting on your hands. It's like somebody waiting for something, and I did a video about that a while back, stop waiting for a sign. It's like, stop waiting for a sign, move. They're not understanding. It's in one of my cards, the Knight of Swords. It's like swift action, seize the moment, seize the day, do what you need to do, but make sure you have, like, if you leave or something, make sure you have everything that you absolutely must have, like clothing and, shit like that, and deodorant, you know what I mean, necessities. Like, I wouldn't worry so much about food necessarily, unless you have certain things that, are yours or something and it's not cumbersome. But, you know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't know, it's like someone doesn't really understand what it is they need to do, but you need to grab what's important, like if you have, your own computers, obviously you'd want to take that, personal stuff. I mean, if it's yours and you've been using it, you know what I mean, it's yours. Or it's come from somewhere else or whatever, but it was, whatever the case is, you know what I'm saying, whoever it should go back to. But if you've been using something and it's been yours all this time, it's, yours, bring it. And I don't know, whatever else. What else do you, you need hygiene and clothes and, suitcase bags, whatever. And, Uber or Lyft or bus or whatever. It's like somebody needs to do something like that and go, I'm not sure. Anyway, it's something along those lines, but it's like they know exactly what they need to do, right? And like they need to seize the moment, you know. The little Knight of Swords, that's, you know, action and movement. It's not sitting still and being stuck. You know, it's weird that people be looking for something and not realize it's them that's got to move. And, you know, for, you know, something, you know, to you know, come forth or to happen, right? It's like these things or these movements help change things. It's like the Wheel of Fortune then starts going in their favor instead of against them. You know, like pray to be cloaked and able to do whatever you need to do. Pray that you stay calm and relaxed, and that you, you know, pray for strength and courage and bravery, right? That's, you know, the whole Wizard of Oz is about finding, you know, the heart and, you know, the brain, and, you know, it's all the chakras. You're basically going and finding and getting it all healed. That you're getting healed on the journey, on the yellow brick road, which, you know, signifies like your solar plexus chakras. You know, that's what it's really all about. Until you see, you know, who the Wizard of Oz's are, you know, behind the curtains. You know, it's like having chances right in front of you and, you know, just sitting like a bump on a log, not moving, you know. It doesn't really make sense. But, you know, it's like 2 heads are better than 1, 3 heads are better than, you know, 2, and so on and so forth. But, you know, it needs to be in alignment. You know, people that are in alignment, that are against being harmed. This isn't, you know, I'm not sure how these people are fighting or dealing with something, but it's, if you don't move, it just gets worse. Like, what the fuck are you waiting for? It makes no fucking sense. It's like the universe is giving all the signs. I mean, I had to see the signs. You know, it's basically how I learned that's where I need to move. It's pointing me that way because there's kind of really nowhere else to go. You know, it's just going to get worse. What are you waiting for? Like, I don't get it. Like, people are praying and wanting everything to be better, but they don't move where they need to move for it to be better. You know? If you're somewhere where it's just too dark, it's time to cut ties and go. You know? People don't have the right to tell you what you got to do with your life. That, oh, you got to have this job, you know? Go work at, you know, McDonald's or Burger King, some fast food place, and slave away, you know? And pay... into this system, okay, that's just there to drag you down and tell you that you're this and that, and, you know, labeling you. Fuck that. It's time to stand up tall, you know, be a man or woman that you are. It's time to be strong and don't back down, because that fear, whatever's going on, that belongs to someone else. That's why they put them people around you. It's time to make your own decisions and realize that you have all the rights. If anyone says, like, they're going to call the law or whatever, say, look, no, you're not, because I'm an adult. You can't do that. I have the right to go anywhere. You know, it's called freedom. But that's essentially why you know, be wise as serpents, right? Wise as serpents, but gentle as doves. You know, maybe you don't say what you're doing, or maybe you say it differently. You know what I mean? Maybe you don't tell them you're leaving, you know? You're doing this, you're doing that, whatever it is. I'm not sure what the situation is, but I can't get away from this feeling. But it is how you deal with these, you know, like blackmailers and people that threaten, and they may not threaten like, you know, but they may be telling you, oh, if you do this, this is going to happen. That's, you know, like how Uncle Creepy works. You know, if you do this, this is going to happen. That's when you know, throw up the middle fingers and run and go do exactly. You know, because it's like the divine's way of showing you the, you know, them people is backwards. So, you know, they're going to tell you basically what it is. Don't you dare do, and that's exactly what you need to do. Do you see? They're inverted. That's why you got to look at things forward and backwards, in every which direction. But just the fact that they're, don't you dare do this, You know, or if you do this, this happened, you know, yeah, whatever, you know. It doesn't make sense, but that's how these people are. That's how they're trying to gaslight. Well, it's not how they're trying. It's their gaslight. How they do. They lie. Lies come out of the mouth, and if they keep saying it for a long time and for years or whatever, then they'll get you trapped in this mental trap, and it'll be hard for you to break out. If you're doing these steps, that will help you to break out. It's time to move. And do what you got to do. It's like you know what you got to do and you don't do it. Time to move, right? These people, there's some people that are in I don't know, it's like some bad situations, but it's like it's getting more like constricting or something. It's time to go. That's, like the Python spirit, and that's telling you it's time to go. Because it's like saving your own life, right? It's pay attention to that intuition, because it's, like I said, it's like people have these echoes of the past, right? Like their relatives and what's happened before in the past. You really have to kind of look at this. Like I said, it was a bathroom, the two sinks with two mirrors that faced each other, and that really it really makes a lot of sense. Looking through that, there's just whole shit tons of dimensions that go forever. All right? So that kind of helps you to think in that way, instead of like a one-dimensional or three-dimensional, like everything's so flat and like there's nothing else to it. There's more to it. It's jumping and quantum leaping to a new timeline where you're not in this bad, evil, or dark timeline anymore. It's like, if God has already provided the means, it's time to, make moves. Just don't say what you're doing, don't necessarily lie, but carefully word it and think it out beforehand. Do you know what I'm saying? You really want to take this out, so that way, by the time anyone really grasps, it's already too late. And that's how you do that when you're dealing with dark ones. If you're in a situation, like right now, that you need to get out of right now, it's like, get away from the cabal. If you know you're around dark people, you need to get the fuck away from them. Take what's important, travel, do whatever you need to. Sometimes you don't realize that, like, where you're going to, that there's all the room needed. So it's like, really, some people might just figure shit out real easy by apparently phone calls. Like, I don't know. But you have to see the situation, what's been happening to other folks as well, and what these people been pulling. That's, it's like everything fades away, all the lies and bullshit, when you actually talk to someone. Wow. You know what I mean? So whatever's going on in your families, where you're at, or whatever you're dealing with, you need to kind of clear the air and make sure. And I'm talking about those that are good people. They're just around dark people and they're struggling. But those people that are around those dark people, y'all need to call out, because you're where it's dark, okay? So you need to be the ones that make that move, okay? Because the people on the other side realize where you're at, right? I'm getting something about see you on the other side. So there's some people that are supposed to do something, all right? But to the others, that are gonna have to put in more work, because for me, it's been a practice of constantly. I've been dealing with a lot of these folks to, how can I put it, take the power back. So it's like a lot easier to do things than you think. You say you're doing something, they can't really do anything. Like, okay, you know what I mean? If they find out or something like that. But otherwise you don't. That way you don't have to deal with it. These people are bullies, and they really don't like to move or do anything. See, along time ago when those police, it was 3 of them that showed up at the, we'll say, Fort of Spanish, in that state I was in before that's connected to this one. I'm in Florida. I'm not talking about Georgia. It begins something like with an A. But when I was there, and they said something about me moving in with my mother. They'd never even acknowledged she was my mother. So now you're saying move in with her? Okay, something ain't right. And right then I really did feel like something is really wrong. And I was like, no, why on earth would I want to do that? Didn't even make sense. It was because she was already deceased. That was the dead body smell. And if I had agreed, this is what they do. They get you to consent to something without knowing what's going on. See, if I didn't have intuition or something at that moment and had said yes, I would have been fucking stuffed and killed and taken, next door. It would have made it look like, they were helping me move. Well, since when do they do that? Come on, y'all. 3 of them? No, they were coming to end me. That was their goal. So it's like you have to be very crafty, with your words, what you say and what they say. Take all the time in the world. If they're rushing you, say, well, then I'm not going to answer because you're rushing me. You know what I mean? You have to learn how to deal with these people. They don't have the right to hold anything over you. Nothing. If they're sitting there doing things to your vehicle or something like that, they'll sit there and try to do things to keep you down. Well, you may have someone you can get together with and work together to move, to go wherever you got to go. You can't just sit and stay somewhere that's bad, but, kind of plan things out where you can go somewhere where it's, fair priced until you, move again to wherever you're going next or whatever the case is. But, there may be a chance to get whatever, say, you left behind, at a different time, and maybe it wouldn't be too far away, because once, like all these people that do this or whatever, they have nothing to hold over anybody. That's what I'm getting. So whoever this is, it's like families of people or something that this is going on with. Like they're doing this with multiple people, and you need to stop listening to these dark idiots and talk to who you need to talk to. Don't let shit get in the way of that, because that's why they're doing what they're doing. It's like you're handing them your power. Call all your power and all your energy back. Literally say, I call all my energy and all my power back. Please and thank you. Just simple, I have the authority to. It's mine, you understand? Excuse me. You call your courage and your bravery and your heart back, and you pray and ask Archangel Michael to balance your chakras. Please and thank you. I'm so appreciative. You want to have gratitude. Gratitude for everything you have. Gratitude if you've already been kind of set up to do exactly what you need to do. Are you looking at things differently? You know what I'm saying? It's time to do whatever it is you all, each individually, need to do. And be very stealth about it. Because, it's like the devil creeps about as a roaring lion, trying to listen in. So sometimes you have to talk in a way that, people understand or something. Use code, like if you already know someone that's, at a hotel, talk about it like that, but, say something, I don't know, something different to where y'all know what's going on. You know what I mean? That you're planning to go there or something like that. I don't know. Like you could say that, but then talk about going to, you're going to go meet a certain person at, the damn fast food restaurant, McDonald's or Burger King or something like that. And it's like, or something else, something that you wouldn't do, that they know, like you would head to, McDonald's for your gourmet meal or something, but you're joking, and they know you're joking when you say it, but it's, the hint that that means that you're headed to such and such spot, to meet or something or whatever. You got to learn to use code, but it's got to be in a way that you understand. So, like, if you're around each other, you can sit there and say it, but do it away from phones and anything that records you. Big brother everywhere. You got to learn how to do these things, right? There's ways of conveying things. You'll say something and then you'll say something else, or you just certain ways you do it that tells what it is you want to tell. Because these dark people, they do not get humor, they don't get sarcasm. They really it just flies right over their head. So you need to think that way, right? Really think out how you can talk in a way that is above their head and they just aren't getting it. But make sure that whom you're talking to gets it, right? You can literally meet up somewhere, depending on what the case is, and that way you can talk it over, whatever. But people, y'all got to get a move on so you're not stuck, because things can get even darker in different ways. So it's time to do what you got to do. You got to take care of yourself. I mean, something that's in gematria a lot is save the children. So I'm getting like these are children, apparently adult children or something, but from multiple families and stuff that apparently they're supposed to do something. I don't know, but don't let people cabbage patch you, separate you from your family that you're supposed to be with, or whatever this is going on. Get back to your family and don't listen to lies that other people say. You know what's in your heart. Okay? All right. May God be with you. Take care.